Good afternoon, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? Hope you're doing well. I am fine. Let's go through our normal golden baseball. We'll look at the NBA playoffs. NFL draft tonight. So let's look at yesterday's games and how did I do? San Francisco over 7.5 is a W. California didn't show up. Baltimore beats them. Cleveland doesn't show up. Philadelphia under 8, my 10 unit loses. I hit Milwaukee. I hit the Dodgers over 9.5. I hit the Yankees, and I hit the Yankees over. I hit Atlanta 5-star. I hit KC. I hit Minnesota over 6.5. I hit the Cubs a 5-star. I lose Seattle a 5-star, and I hit San Diego. So my 4 plays: win Atlanta, win the Cubs, lose Seattle, lose Philadelphia under. Okay. Philadelphia was there. They gave up 2 runs in like the 8th or 9th inning to give up like 9 runs. So we were pretty close, but certainly not what was expected. So we will now look at today's. Real quickly, gold price is $23.33. Nice round number. And silver is $27.35. So not as many big drops. We got the drop at like 9, and the time keeps changing. Used to be 10 o'clock. Now it's like 9 o'clock. And zoomed up to 23.43. And then the 10 o'clock drop hit a little after 10:30, but only dropped to 23.28. And we've been working the way back up. I expect to see 23.50 today in the afternoon when there's less holding it back. So the bad news is we saw it go down to 2,300. But the good news is it popped right back. And, now we can see it back to 23.33, 23.50. It's a lot of resistance, but there's nothing they can do. There's too much demand. And COMEX can't keep it up because they have to, at the end of the day, they have to have the physical gold to do the derivatives, which they don't have. So afterwards, silver 27.35 should get going. I'm going to play Egon's video, just the big points. I got it marked now. 2 minutes, 17 minutes, and 19 minutes. Otherwise, I was playing the whole thing, which gets me bored. But yeah, if I pinpoint the point, then we can discuss it. So the demand for gold will keep the price up. So Egon sits there and he says, well, there's no demand for it, or the investors aren't in it. Why would the investors be in an ETF? They're all in Microsoft and Apple and I'm drawing a blank on the one. Anyway, they're all in those big stocks. So they think that all the money's going into those big 4 or 5 stocks. And so why would they be in the ETF? Gold's not going anywhere. Why would they be in it? So Egon's really not getting the psychology of investing. You want to be in things that are moving. Those will be the first things that are going to get killed. And then they'll be looking like, but I don't look at ETF. We all know ETFs are Ponzi schemes. So I don't know why anybody, I guess he's talking pension funds and stuff like that would be in ETFs, but I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me. Just being physical. But I guess if you're a pension fund, you're not in physical. You're running the pension fund, you're running stocks. God, I'm still having a mental block on that one stock. God, what the hell is it? Yeah, I don't know. It'll hit me when I'm not thinking about it. Hey, Greg and John, good afternoon. So I heard from one of my jobs, and they haven't decided anything yet. They're still interviewing. Okay. And then I'm realizing these are permanent jobs, not contract. Contract, it doesn't matter. You're on a PO. If you're an idiot, they just get rid of you. If you're good, then they got you. And so there's no risk. If they hire me and there's a problem, it's a lot to get rid of me. So they're more cautious to hire people so they don't have to go through this whole firing process than it is to bring you on as a permanent. So we'll still see. It takes a few weeks. So that's what's happening. So I just wait. Looking into teaching this. I talked to my recruiter and I said, well, what do you guys use? So she gave me, I think it's an AEM, and I'll look into that. Really just doing what I'm doing here, but people will pay and I'll do private classes and you'll get public that isn't part of the private class. So we can talk baseball and football, and the private class would be a little more economics. I'm not sure what to charge, and I'm not sure how to get it going to market it. Anyway, that's where we're at. So moving on. So I'm looking at the NBA today, and here we go. So if I go down the NBA for psychological betting, I got OKC 2-0 over New Orleans. OKC's the 1 seed. New Orleans is the 8 seed. Can we trust New Orleans as an 8 seed? I don't know. I don't know anybody on their team. And then we'll get into the spread. San Diego and Dallas are tied at 1. This is the 4-5. This is exactly what whoever won game 1, you bet back game 2. Series is tied at 1. Whoever wins game 3, you bet the other team game 4. And you're going to go back and forth all 7 games. This will go 7. And but that's what you want, kind of an even games. Minnesota, the 3 seed against Phoenix, the 6 seed. Minnesota is 2-0. Maybe you bet Phoenix. How good are they? Not sure. But they need the game. They can't go down 3-0. So the 2-0s, now they're at home. They need the game. Look for them to win game 3. Denver 2-0 against the Lakers. Look for the Lakers to come on. They can't go down 3-0. If they go down 3-0, it's over. So it's do or die for them. Denver's up 2-0, but are the Lakers any good? Can they win a game? Boston and Miami. Here you go. Miami's the 8th seed. The series is tied at 1-1. Now we go back to Miami for game 3, and I would say that Boston kind of after the loss should win. Now I'm looking at a line. Well, no, that's for the series. I forget that. So if Miami just won, I would think Boston would be good to go up 2-1. After a loss, they'll be pissed off. Cleveland, Orlando, this is the 4-5. Cleveland is up 2-0. So I think Orlando, provided there's no injuries, which I'm not following, would be a very strong bet here. Cleveland's the 4 seed, Orlando the 5. Yeah, Orlando, strong play here because because they're not bad. They're a 5, and the 4, and Cleveland's not that good. They're a 4 seed. Milwaukee and Indy tied at 1, 3 against the 3 seed and the 6 seed. Whoever lost the last game, I would bet the other team. And the New York Yankees are up 2-0 on Philadelphia. The Yankees are the 2 seed. The Phillies are the 7 seed. So here I like Philly in game 3. They have to win. They go down 3-0, they're done. And I thought Philly was a better team, but they're not. So that's superficially what we're looking at. Who needs the game? Oh, Philly needs the game. Orlando needs the game. Can they get the game? Do they have injuries? Cleveland, Orlando is tonight. The Cavs lead the series 2-0. Orlando's a 2.5-point favorite. I would take Orlando tonight as a 2.5-point favorite at home in a must-win game. And they're the 5 seed. Cleveland's the 4 seed. See, you get blinded because Cleveland looks good at home in the first 2 games. You go, oh, well, Cleveland's going to beat them. But the game's not in Cleveland. The game's in Orlando. And it always, the perspective changes because now the game's in Orlando. So take Orlando here. And the Yankees and the Phillies, not much different. Philadelphia was 47-35, and New York was 50-32. The Knicks lead the series. Philly's a 5.5-point favorite. Absolutely love Philadelphia here. This is I don't know how they're the 7th seed and they won 47 games. That's crazy. Orlando's the 5 seed and they won 47 games. I don't know what's going on here. So love Philadelphia here. Just a second. The NFL draft is tonight. I know that, Greg and John. So love the Phillies over the Knicks tonight. Laying 5.5. There's not much difference in this 2-7, and they're down 2-0. They have to win. Anyway, so I love Philly tonight, laying 5.5, and then Denver and the Lakers tonight. Denver leads 2-0. And it's the same thing here. The Lakers 47-35. They're not a bad team. I mean, they got LeBron. He sucks, but the Lakers are 1.5-point favorites, and they must win. I love the Lakers. That's a 10 star tonight if LeBron's playing. They have to win. They're at home and they're only laying 1.5. So from a psychological point, they must win the game, and Denver doesn't, and that's the key to it. So look for that. So look for the Lakers at home. Look for Philly at home in Orlando. Look for the 3 home teams to cover because they're all down 2-0. They all must win. Psychologically, they know it's do or die, and psychologically, the road team knows we're up 2-0. We can afford to lose. They don't play the same up 2-0 as they do down 2-0. So I'm telling you, take the home teams. That's your NBA. I'll be excited for that. NFL. Any news on the NFL draft? Oh boy, Peyton and Eli draft Belichick for the Manning cast. Who the fuck would watch the Manning cast? Give me a break. All right, so the NFL. Let's look at news. Now, I did my homework. Yeah, I play basketball, but I only play the playoffs. I only play when it makes sense. Way too much, especially during football season. I play football first. You can't be the jack of all trades. I know how to play craps and backrack and roulette, and that's a whole different story in poker. But if you're handicapping, it's really hard you got to focus on one. So I focus on football. Baseball, okay, because there's no football. Basketball is extremely hard to bet on because it's every day and your concentration has to be on football every day. So I don't even look at basketball, maybe after the season. Now for the playoffs, I don't have to know anything. You're down 2-0, you're going to play hard, you're at home, bet them. That's how I play basketball. So yes, I do, but only in the playoffs. Bengals all play. Troy Henderson really joins. Minnesota's got it. Yeah, see, it's nothing. It's no news, though. The Bears request $2 billion in public money. I tell them to fuck off. You're a business. You want to have a stadium, go buy it. They don't get funding for Costco or those. Anyway. All right, that's stupid. So, what did the professor do yesterday? Here's how I prep for the. Here's how I prep for that. So, I watched the Notre Dame. So I watched the 20-minute game. So let's go. I watched Oregon at Utah so I could get Bo Nix. I watched USC and Oregon to get. I could see Caleb against Bo Nix. I watched USC Notre Dame so I could get Hartman and Caleb. I got Arizona and USC. I love Arizona's quarterbacks much better than Caleb against Caleb. Washington, USC. I could see Penix against Caleb. Oregon, Washington. I could see Bo Nix and Penix. Michigan, Washington. To badmouth Penix on that game, you got to be ridiculous. And to see that J.J. McCarthy is horrible, he threw. I was counting his passes. Let's say he had 15 completions, which I think maybe. I'd say 13 of them were for 2 yards, 3 yards. They were just little pitches in the flat with the running. He didn't have any like over the middle or deep or anything. It was all little dinks and dunks, and then the running back might have went. That's it. Michigan, Alabama. Where was J.J. McCarthy? Milrose looked better. If he didn't do the fucking fumble, Alabama would have won. I can't believe Milrose fumbled on that. So that's what we have. So let's go down to it. Lakers are a good pick. What conclusion did you come to with the quarterbacks? Why is he so high, J.J. McCarthy? All right, so here's my analysis. McCarthy against Milrose. McCarthy was terrible. They ran the ball. They didn't do anything. I mean, they scored in regulation. They scored 20 points. He throws an interception the first play of the game where the guy hits the line and they don't call an interception. It's an interception. I mean, he threw it to the Alabama guy. He doesn't do anything. Um, they scored on the running play, and that was it. I mean, it was nothing that all he did was these little crossing patterns where the guy's wide open for 5 yards or 10 yards. So it's really a motion play. Two receivers, I'm on backwards. Two receivers come up and over, and the running back comes up and goes under. God, I hate doing this backwards. So they take so when they come up and over, they're taking the defense with, then the running back comes up and goes where they were for all of a 5 yard pass, and that's what McCarthy does. He showed nothing. He showed no character. He threw a lot of interceptions. Why he'd even be drafted is a mystery to me. I like Milrose better. Milrose looked a lot better. Now, one thing about Michigan's defense, it's a bullshit defense. I hadn't watched it all year because I didn't play anybody, right? So I wasn't interested in Michigan, Indiana. So I'm watching Michigan, Alabama, and I notice all they're doing is rushing 6 guys every play. Well, yeah, if I rush 6 guys, it's going to be looks like a pretty good defense. And it's going to be hard. They don't know how to attack it. They were able to do a sweep, and the guy scored the first touchdown against Alabama on a nice 25-yard run. But then it's always 6. So it's hard for the quarterback with the 6-man rush, and they're basically blitzing every play. It's a weak defense. It's the Baltimore defense, I believe, because he came from Baltimore. And the way to beat it is with quick passes, little crossing routes, trap plays, draws, something where you go around the guys. And Alabama was struggling with Milrose, but they were able to take the lead. And then Michigan came back, but not by McCarthy. I mean, he didn't do anything. It was some running plays, which I was surprised against Alabama, or these little crossing routes when then the guy would be wide open underneath, and McCarthy hit him. Again, another 5-yard pattern, but it's all clear out. So the two guys going up and over, and the other guy coming up and under. So what's happening is the receivers are coming up and crossing over, bringing the defense with, and then Michigan's running back comes up and goes where they were. So they were here, they take their man, and then this guy comes up and goes where it's vacated. All of a 5-6 yard pattern of which McCarthy hits the guy. Oh, wow, he's a great quarterback. So I think he's absolutely to put this guy in the top 50 is a joke. So Alabama was the better team. Michigan just blitzed every play and kind of neutralized the running. And then Michigan fumbled 2 punts and stuff like that. I was watching some Bo Nix. Bo Nix is very good. I'm getting to that. So then we get Michigan, Washington. Again, McCarthy, same bullshit. He doesn't throw a pass more than 5 yards. But they're running the ball down Washington's throat. Now, on the other hand, Penix, he's got 6 guys blitzing him every play, so he doesn't have really time to throw. So if you want to say Penix didn't look good against Michigan, you're out of your fucking mind. Somebody said that, well, he didn't look good against Michigan's pass rush. They blitz 6 guys every play. Who's going to look good against that? That's like what Georgia did to Tennessee. Hooker didn't look good because he had 7 guys at him every play, and he had no time to throw. So Penix made some good passes in the game, but it's hard because they show 18 minutes and it's the highlights. So there's not a lot of highlights. So more Michigan. So Michigan ran for 4 touchdowns. The guy didn't throw shit. Penix had, he's going to struggle with 6 guys on him, and his running back, Dylan, I can't remember his last name, number 7. I don't think he played much against Michigan. He was the difference against Oregon. I want to say Dylan Harper, but I think that's a character in a movie. Dylan somebody. But anyway, they definitely struggled against the 6-man rush. Now, let's go Oregon, Washington. As good as Bo Nix could, and Bo Nix can run a little bit, but he's a great, very accurate passer. Now, the difference is Bo Nix throws the ball down the field 20 yards to guys and threads the needle and hits them on the numbers, sees the guys open, hit them down the sideline. He throws a lot of 15, 20, 25-yard passes. J.J. McCarthy doesn't throw any. They're all little 5-yard passes. You going to see that in the NFL there, boy? I don't think so. Penix nails these guys 20, 30, 40 yards down the field, very accurate. I saw him running in the end zone and at the 5-yard line. I didn't see any knee problems. I don't know what these idiots are talking about. He has no injury problems. This is the championship game to get into the playoffs. He's running the ball. He's getting hit, gets up, not a problem. Got hit against Michigan, no problem. There's no injury to this guy. I don't know. This guy's the best quarterback. Watching the Washington-Oregon game, the Washington-SC game, this guy is much better than anybody. Very accurate. Stands in the pocket, throws a great ball to his guy, 20, 30 yards down the field, hits him right in the numbers. He's very clutch. He beat Oregon twice. This is the problem I keep bringing up. Now, on Oregon's side, Bo Nix looks outstanding. Much better than McCarthy. When you're looking at 20, 30-yard passes to the receivers, which is what you're going to want, he's much, much more accurate, and he can still run a little bit. I mean, he had some runs that he did. Very clutch. Spots the guy. He had a great pass for a touchdown in the championship game. He's rolling and scrambling, and some guy breaks open in the end zone, and boom, throws it to him. The guy's on his knees, drills it right, threaded the needle, touchdown. Very good, very clutch. So both of these guys, Bo Nix and Penix, man, they should be 1 and 2. I mean, not even close. Now, we watched Washington play USC. We watched Caleb. We watched Caleb against Penix. And again, it wasn't even close. Now, Caleb had a little better game against Washington. Their defense is a little bit weaker. This was 52-42 Washington, and Penix looked like a genius. Not a problem. Caleb, not a problem. Jesus. I hate when you're trying to talk and you got to keep sneezing. So, but let's ignore this game because USC has no defense. So let's go to USC, Arizona. It took Caleb a whole half to throw 3 completions. And I'll tell you, watching this game, the Arizona quarterback is much better than Caleb. And he's much better than Drake May and McCarthy. Fatuhu, Arizona's quarterback. He's up there. It's rising in him. This guy's very good. Brady Cook from Missouri, very good. Much better than half of these guys they're talking about this year's draft. So against this tough defense, Arizona, it's 3-0. I'm like, where's the USC highlights? It was all Arizona. And they just were. Then it was like, well, they ran 6 plays for 2 yards. Caleb doing nothing. Caleb getting sacked, threw some interceptions. Caleb throws a lot of interceptions. So I think it goes 28 all and goes into overtime. They only scored 28 on Arizona, and a couple of USC's touchdowns were, had nothing to do with Caleb. Then we get to the USC Notre Dame game. Caleb, not 1, not 2, 3 interceptions and 2 fumbles. and Notre Dame puts up like a 45 on him. He looks pathetic. He looks like a child out there. Notre Dame put pressure on him, and he's just dumping the ball away. This guy, I see Penix and Bo Nix in big games with pressure, and I see Caleb in a big game against Notre Dame. 3 picks in the first half, and then a fumble to his receiver, and he fumbled another ball. Sorry, I don't know what people are looking at. I mean, this is against the good defensive Notre Dame team. What are you looking at? Then we've got USC against Oregon, and I didn't know I wasn't sure if they played, so I'm looking at that game, and Oregon's just killing them. Oregon goes up big time. First 2 plays, Bo Nix, 75-yard passes, and the guy goes all the way for touchdowns. Okay, USC doesn't have a good defense, but still, hit them right on the numbers. Oregon wins the game like 44-20, late touchdown by USC, making it look closer. Caleb, another couple interceptions here. So I see him in the big games, Notre Dame, Oregon, Arizona, Washington. He's not really showing up. He throws a lot of picks. I saw the stat, and I'll go through stats with you in a minute. He got sacked 57 times. You know how many times Bo Nix got sacked? 5. Penix maybe 10. Caleb cannot read the blitz. So they come after him, especially Oregon. Oregon came after him and just sack after sack. I think 8 sacks in the game. He couldn't read them. He didn't know what to do. The blitz came or the pressure came, and he's trying to run around. He doesn't get rid of the ball. And when he does get rid of the ball, it's an interception. He can't read the plays. He can't read, there's a blitz, I got to throw it here or there. Like Tom Brady, what did he do? Hey, wait, the cornerback's coming, so I want Wes Welker or one of those Edelman guys to just run that short pass. And they blitzed, and he dump it over them. That's Tom Brady. That ain't Caleb. Caleb can't read it and then eats the ball and takes sacks or fumbles or tries to get rid of it and throws interceptions. This is your number 1 quarterback, undisputed, the best out there. Are you fucking kidding me? Where's this? Go watch this game here. USC, Oregon. You can go watch. You can watch USC, Notre Dame. All right. USC, Notre Dame. Where's Caleb? Like, where's Waldo? 3 picks and a fumble late into like 40 points for Notre Dame. And then go watch this game, USC, Oregon, and you tell me who the better quarterback is. I'm going to tell you it's Bo Nix by a mile. It ain't. He's pinpoint. He's running around a little bit. So then I watched Oregon State, just to get the flavor. Oregon State with a strong pass rush. Not a problem for Bo Nix. He was able to, light it up, did well. Didn't have too much problem, and Oregon wins easy. So they kill USC, of which they put up a 40 on them, which is, they don't have a great defense, but where was Caleb? Then I went to this game. This is a good game for Bo Nix people. Oregon against my Utah team with the, number 2-3 defense, and he lit them up pretty good. I turned it off at half. They were up like 27 to nothing. And he had no problem with the Utah defense. So he had no problem with the Utah defense, no problem with the Washington defense, no problem with the USC defense. Well, who does? And no problem with Oregon State, who had an outstanding defense. So that's watching the games and watching the quarterbacks. I would rank Penix 1, Bo Nix 2, and Daniels 2 right there. And that's it. And then, by the way, in the Notre Dame game, Hartman looked throwing bullets all over the place. Where's Hartman? Why is he not in the top 3? You got to be kidding me. That guy, they even said in the game, He's the most accurate long passer in the country. He's throwing darts, boom, 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 all over the place. Big game. The problem is they have Eckstein, the running back, and the offensive coordinator was wanting to run the ball more. So he doesn't look that good at Notre Dame because they wanted to run it more, and he basically didn't have a good offensive coordinator. So his stats were down a little, but if you look at his Wake Forest stats, I mean, he's throwing 45 touchdowns and 10 picks for 3 years. So Hartman looked outstanding against SC. I didn't watch all the Notre Dame games, but this is, excuse me. So I really don't see any issue with Hartman. So watching these games, Bo Nix, top 5 pick, Penix, top 5 pick, Daniels, top 5 pick, Hartman should be in the top 5. J.J. McCarthy shouldn't be in the first round. Drake May, I don't even know, should be drafted. He's another Mitch Trubisky or Hall, if you want to go there. And Caleb's going to be maybe Jalen Hurts, where when the pressure's on, like the last 7 games, he throws interceptions and gets sacked. I don't see Caleb. Caleb's not Tom Brady. He's not Aaron Rodgers. He ain't close. He's no Joe Burrow. He's not close. All right. In the big games, Joe Burrow steps up, right? What do? Beats Georgia, beats Alabama, beats Clemson, wins the title. He threw 60 touchdowns and I think 6 interceptions in that big year. And he beat Texas too, who was a good team. So I'm really struggling watching the games, how Bo Nix is not 1 or 2. Penix is not 1 or 2. Hartman's not in the top 5. And Daniels is not in the top 5. And I didn't watch much Daniels yesterday. It's hard to watch. He looked good against Alabama. I did watch that game until they cheap shotted him and knocked him out. So I already know what Daniels very strong. So that leaves you with Caleb, excuse me. He goes back to pass and he's trying to scramble. But when he played Oregon and Oregon State and Utah, there was nowhere to scramble. They were coming at the defensive ends were coming at him, and he's trying to scramble, and they're just eating him up. And he's either getting sacked, fumbling, or throwing the interception. His guys aren't open. A lot of the third down plays he's overthrowing, especially against Oregon. Against Notre Dame, he wouldn't even be close. Watch the Notre Dame game, right? Watch this. Okay, USC, Notre Dame, extended. I would play it here, but it would probably get banned. And you tell me why Caleb is the number 1 quarterback and Hartman isn't. Because you can't. You cannot watch that game and watch this guy throw 3 picks in the first half, a fumble for a touchdown recovery, some more fumbles, and another 5-6 sacks, and tell me, yeah, I want this guy. I mean, it's like playing basketball. I was watching some guy. I'm on the bike at the club, and I see some guy, and he's shooting threes from behind the foul line. And, he's making some, and I'm thinking, yeah, but let's put somebody guarding you and see how you are. Anybody can make them just standing there, but you got guys, and that's Caleb to me. Yeah, but when they start blitzing you, and they're going to do what they did to Hurts, because they know, and they're going to do it to Lamar, you start doing that, this guy Chicago won't score a touchdown all year. Okay, I don't know what you're seeing. Now, I am very objective. I am telling you, Penix and Hartman and Bo Nix, you got to be fucking kidding me to pass on these guys from May and McCarthy. And then where are you seeing Caleb's all this good? Caleb makes some fancy little runs, but when you're losing 44-10 to Oregon, Yeah, they probably don't work. Where were you? Throwing interceptions and throwing incompletions. He can't handle pressure, and you don't think they're going to blitz him like they do Jalen Hurts now and Lamar and these guys. So 1 through 5 has got to be Penix and Nix and Hartman and whatchamacallit, LSU Daniels. And your fifth guy, I think, is the Tulane quarterback. I don't know how Caleb can get drafted in the first round. I don't know what you're watching because you've got to watch him in the game. You can't watch him in practice go, wow, what a great arm. Watch him against Oregon. Watch him against Notre Dame. And then you come back and tell me he's number one. And I'm going to tell you, you don't know what the fuck you're looking at. And I've been doing this since 1968. And I know a good quarterback, and I know a shit quarterback, and I see a shit quarterback with Caleb. There is no way the Bears are going to do shit because they'll just blitz him, and he can't. He wants to run around and dance. So he's like Kyler Murray a little bit, which figures because it's the Oklahoma offense. So you're basically getting Kyler Murray. Jesus. You're basically getting kind of Kyler Murray. He dances around, he runs around, only he doesn't run. Kyler Murray runs. Caleb doesn't really run. Caleb wants to kind of get into the pocket and dance around and buy time. And it ain't going to work. It worked a little against Arizona. They didn't really defend him well. But he takes 10 seconds to throw the ball. He's back, and you don't know where he's throwing the ball. He's dancing around until somebody gets open. Well, that's not how you play quarterback. Bo Nix, 3 steps. Penix, boom, boom. Hartman, boom, boom. These guys got the ball, got rid of it. They knew where the guy was coming, knew where the blitz was coming. Those 4 quarterbacks by a mile. And then you have Caleb's probably a second-round pick. And then I don't know how you draft Drake May. You watch Drake May and you watch Bo Nix and Penix. It ain't even the same. It's not the same game. It's a whole different game watching Penix and Bo Nix go up and down the field. Oregon had a great defense, right? They beat Caleb like 44-10. And I mean, it wasn't Caleb couldn't do anything against them. And yet Penix did twice. And, look at Washington against Texas, and yet Bo Nix, and then against Utah, Bo Nix, and against Oregon State, Bo Nix. Sorry, I don't see any problems with Bo Nix that you should be. Oh, well, he played at Auburn. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. And Penix had a knee injury. Yeah, 5 years ago, and he's running in ball into the end zone and getting hammered at the 1-yard line, gets up. Okay, next play. Throwing the ball on a dime. There's this long pass he throws to Oduzzi. The guy's crossing the field. I hate this. So he's just going across the field. He lays it in, 40-yard pass right on his hands. I don't know what you want to, J.J. McCarthy's throwing these little 5-yard passes. And they're doing it on scheme. So the 2 guys run across, and then the other guy runs under, so they're pulling the guys over, the running back's coming up and going there, and then McCarthy throws the 5-yard pass there. So it's all designed, but if they cover that, then what does you do? I didn't see much. I saw a lot of incomplete passes. I saw the interception by Alabama on the first play of the game. He doesn't really win the game against Alabama. They kind of drive down. There was a couple of bad calls, and it was a lot of misdirection for him. So there was a 20-yard play against Alabama to tie up the game, and the receiver's here, and he goes up and he goes across, and then his other receiver's here, and he goes underneath here, but about 10 yards, a little bit more depth, and he hits him. He's wide open. Oh, let me draft McCarthy in the first round for hitting that guy. You got to be fucking kidding me. And so you can't say Penix had trouble against Michigan like he's a bad. There were 6-man rush the whole game. What's he supposed to do against the 6-man rush? I'm sorry, nobody's going to be really good against the 6-man rush. And that's all Michigan did against all their opponents, was basically a bullshit defense. They're rushing 6 linemen or, cornerback or a safety, whatever, as part of the, but it was 6 rushers every play. And so you're trying to run into it and you can't. You're trying to throw, but you don't really have time. What you have to do are these quick screens and crossing patterns. You need to run quick crosses behind it, and you'd be fine. But these guys are not smart enough. C.J. Stroud couldn't figure it out. He looked like shit against Michigan for 2 years. So I would not fault. First of all, there's no injury on Penix. Secondly, I wouldn't fault him. I wouldn't look at the Michigan game. I would look at the 2 Oregon games and the Texas game and the Oregon State game, Washington State game, and go, yeah, he's more than fine. And look at Bo Nix against Utah. I mean, that's all I got to say. You don't like Bo Nix, or you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Watch him in the big games with the big defenses, and he lights him up. He lit up Utah for 27 points in the first fucking half. They don't give up 27 in a game. He's boom, 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 lighting him up. He's open, doesn't panic, sits in the pocket and throws. Very rarely does he run, and usually they're design runs, and usually he's throwing the guys, and he's nailing them right in the numbers, 25 yards down the field. And, Hartman just has a beautiful touch. Watch the Notre Dame SC game, and then you'll see Hartman and you'll see Caleb, and you go, who of these two, who would you draft? And your answer is going to be Hartman. It ain't going to be close. So watch all that, and then wonder why Caleb's drafted first. And you just, it's to quote Bobby, it's a shake my head moment. I don't understand it. The Bears should either take Daniels or Penix or Nix. You're fine with any one of those 3. The only one you're not fine on is Caleb. When they play the Packers or Minnesota, starts blitzing them. The Lions have no defense. But when they play the better teams, Frisco, what do you think Caleb's going to do against Frisco? How many first downs are they going to get, and how many interceptions? I bet he'll throw more interceptions than first downs if they play the Niners, Kansas City, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Cleveland, San Diego after Harbaugh's done with them, Oakland. If the Bears play Oakland, they're getting shut out. All right. So again, I don't really get what anybody sees in camp. You're running that Oklahoma offense that makes the guys look good, but they're not. Are you a big Jalen Hurts fan now after they lost 7 games in a row, lost the playoff game? He can't throw the ball for 10 yards because he can't read a blitz. That's the weakness of this Oklahoma offense. So, what are you looking at? Kyler Murray's just fast, and Jalen Hurts is nothing. And you think Caleb's going to be great? Caleb will not be better than Jalen Hurts. So don't even go there. But I don't see Caleb doing anything. So we're going to go through some stats. How good is Hartman? I think he is underrated. No talk of him. Well, yeah. I mean, which is surprising. He's the Notre Dame quarterback. He's like Joe Montana in my mind. He's a winner. I was watching some Bo Nix. He's very good. These teams and sports media are so stupid. Well, they're trying to sell you, and so they create this frenzy on Caleb, but not Hartman and Bo Nix. And for some reason, even though Hartman's the Notre Dame quarterback, and where's Penix? Oh, he got injured 5 years ago, so we can't draft him. Okay. And who are we going to bet on? We're going to bet against Chicago. We're going to bet against, if Washington takes Drake May, them and Carolina will be the 2 worst teams in the league. Chicago won't be far behind. They'll still need a quarterback. This is the funny part. They drafted Mitch Trubisky. He sucks. They then drafted Fields, who sucked. And now they're going to draft Caleb, who sucks. And they'll be in 3 years drafting another quarterback because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Let me run it, and we would have Michael Penix as our quarterback. And I don't even know if I'd draft him in the first pick. I think I'd trade the first pick, get a couple, and I got the 9th pick. So I think I'd trade my first pick, get a pick right around 9, 10, 11, let it go. Whoever grabs one, who gives a shit? And then I got 9 Penix, and then the new pick I picked up would be the Washington running back number 7, or I don't really need the receivers. I got 2 already. I need defense, but there's really no defense out there. So I would switch it to get Penix 9, and then whoever. Oakland's probably just salivating we can get Penix or Bo Nix 9 and 10. So I'd be careful that nobody's talking about them. Like, I believe that's part of the plan, right? So if I'm Minnesota and I want Bo Nix, they might get Bo Nix, or Oakland. I would definitely be very quiet. Oh, I want JJ McCarthy. I want Drake May. And really what they're saying is, let Penix and Bo Nix drop to us. Please, Lord, let them drop to us. That's what they've got to be drooling over. So I want to show you some statistics I was looking at yesterday. So we're going to go through the top 10 positions here. So here's by let's look at quarterbacks using statistics. And we're going to let's look at touchdowns, because that's really what matters, right? So I'm on Yahoo, and we'll look at the top 10 as far as where I'm highlighted, touchdowns. We got Bo Nix, 45-3 with 5 sacks. We got Jalen Daniels, 40-4, 22 sacks. We got Penix, 36-11 with 11 sacks. Now notice the yards per game. Bo Nix, 322, Daniels, 317, Penix, 326. Next is Jordan McLeod, Texas State. This guy I would draft, Joey Aguilar. You want somebody second, third round. Joey Aguilar, 33 touchdowns, 10 picks, 19 sacks, and he threw for 268. And App State scored a lot. Then we go to Dylan Gabriel, but he's going to Oregon. He was 30-6. Okay, so let's go to our next group. We've got the magical Caleb. 30 touchdowns. On that offense, only 30 touchdowns. Keep in mind, that's the wide open Oklahoma offense that these guys are getting 40 touchdowns, 30-5, and 35 sacks. There's your boy Caleb, 302 yards. Now, I showed you the other guys. Look at Bo Nix, 40-some touchdowns, and Caleb's only got 30. Then we go to Primetime Junior. How did he do? 293 yards, 27 touchdowns, 3 picks, and 52 sacks. Oh, my God. Poor Prime Junior. But he's 27-3, and Caleb's 30-5. Prime Jr. is better. He only threw 3 picks and got sacked 52 times. Let's see. Tagovailoa Jr., 25 and 11, another nothing. But where's our fabulous guy? Here's the guy, Noah. This guy at Arizona, look out for him. Noah Fa'ita, 25 and 6, 19 sacks, throws for 239. They ran well, and he's very good. Let's see. Here you go, Sam. Here's Sam Hartman, 24 and 8 and 14 sacks for 224 again. But again, they had this really big runner, Eckstein, and they didn't really use Hartman well. But if you look at him from the year prior, it's 45 and 5. So we know Hartman's much better than that, but they handed the ball off a lot. Our Georgia guy, 24 and 6. Will Howard goes to Ohio State next year, 24 and 10. Look for them. Here's the infamous Drake, the Anvil May. Throws for 300 yards a game, 24 touchdowns and 9 picks, and sacked 29 times. What is appealing about that? He only threw 24 touchdowns, but had 9 picks. And I'll tell you, half his touchdowns were 50-50 balls. He had this great receiver that I would draft, but he's only 24, 9, and 29. And look at Hartman, 24 and 8, and only 14 sacks. And here he's got 29 sacks. And let's see. Mikey Keene, my favorite. Mikey Keene's 24 and 10. Milrose, 23 and 6. Milrose had less interceptions than these guys. Here's my guy, Michael Pratt from Tulane, who I love. He threw for 218 a game, 22 and 5, and 20 interceptions, or 20 sacks. 22 and 5 is good. J.K. McCarthy throws for 199 a game, 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, sacked 19 times, only 22 touchdowns. Pretty pathetic. The interceptions are because the base play is just a little dump here and a little dump here. He didn't throw the ball down the field. So there's your. I'm gonna draft this guy second or third with these stats. I don't know about that. The Texas quarterback, I don't know if he's there. Anybody else? Brady Cook from Missouri. Watch out for this guy. 21 and 6. This year, he's still staying. And our favorite, Uglia Buglia, is now on Florida State, 21 and 7 last year with 11 sacks. Joe Milton, Tennessee, 20 and 5. Jordan Travis, poor guy, 20 touchdowns, 2 picks, 14. And again, these guys got to learn to get down when they run. They can't. He broke his leg so severe because he decided to keep running instead of sliding. They don't get it. You ran and you tore your foot up. It was backwards. You're done because you didn't slide. What the fuck? All right, so that's that. Let's look at rushing. So Bo Nix, clearly Nix, Penix, and Daniels are so much better than McCarthy and May and Caleb. It's not even close. Caleb, you put Bo Nix or Penix on USC with that Oklahoma offense. All right, Bo Nix threw 45 touchdowns on Oregon. What do you think he's going to throw at USC? He'd have hit 60. Easy. Maybe 65. Same with Penix. Same with Daniels. They would have thrown for 50, at least 50 touchdowns. All right. We'll go with yards here. So who do we want to draft? Well, we can't draft my favorite, Ollie Gordon from Oak State, 1,700 yards, 21 touchdowns. Beautiful. But he's not in the draft. Then we get to Corey Schrader, fabulous running back from Missouri, 1,600 yards, 14 touchdowns. He's not in the draft. Who's in the draft? I really don't know, but we can look. So we've got the guy from Troy, 1,600 yards, probably not a bad pick if he's out there. Ty Brooks, Texas Tech, 1,500 yards, probably not bad. The guy from North Carolina, Omari Hampton, 1,500 yards, 15 touch. See these guys, but are they getting drafted? I don't know. Then we got Tulane, Maki Hughes, 1,300 yards. Marcus Carroll from Missouri, 1,300. Guy from Notre Dame. Here's the Audric S team, 1,341 yards and 18 touchdowns. So, again, he's split with Hartman. So, he's a good back, but he's certainly not the best back. The best backs, the kid out of Oak State and the kid out of Missouri, are by far the best. Jaden Ott from Cal is very good, 1,300 yards. I talked about him. Devin Neal from Kansas, very good, 1,280 yards. Blake Corn from Michigan, only 1,200 yards. He ran the ball a lot, got 27 touchdowns, but only 1,200 yards. And let's go a little bit further. All right, here's my guy right here. So the guy I want is Dylan Johnson from Washington, 1195, 16 touchdowns. Oregon State Martinez is really good. Oregon Bucky Irving is very good, 1,180. But again, they passed a lot. So Bucky Irving, Dylan Johnson, I love, number 7. And the kid from Arizona. Ohio State's got nobody. Michigan State's got nobody. Memphis, Jonathan Brooks. So there's a lot of running backs out there. Are they all in the draft? I don't know, but I just showed you 10 running backs. Who are you? Probably the kid from Troy comes out and you're like, who? Yeah, 1,600 yards. What's wrong with the kid from Troy? All right, let's go to receiving now. And what do we want to look at? Receiving, we want to look at pick a topic. Do we want to look at yards? Let's look at overall yards, although I like looking at touchdowns. But if we look at yards, you got Oduzzi, but again, it's an asterisk because of Penix and because of Dylan Henderson. So you've got, a lot going on there. He caught 92 balls for 1,640 and only 13 touchdowns. Then Malik Neighbors, LSU, again, he's got Daniels, 1,569 and 14. So is it the receiver that makes the quarterback or the quarterback that makes the receiver? Ricky White from Vegas, 1,483 yards and 8 touchdowns. Nobody's talking about him. Let's see. This guy, Arizona, Tetratri McMillan, 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns. Troy Franklin from Oregon, 1,383 and 14 touchdowns. Here's SC's guy, Xavier LeGarrette, 1,250 yards, only 7 touchdowns. Here's Missouri's guy, 1,200 yards and 9. These guys are all, but you don't hear about them, right? Because they didn't go to Alabama. But then here comes Marvin Harrison, 1,200 yards and 14 touchdowns. Do you want him over the other guys? This is where I don't get it. He's not the top. He's not in the top 10. I'd go Washington, I'd go Oregon, and I'd go LSU ahead of this guy. Sorry. Tez Johnson, Oregon, 1,182. So you can get this guy in the 3rd round. Tez Johnson, Oregon, 1,182 and 10 touchdowns. Here's Brian Thomas, LSU, 1,100 yards, 17 touchdowns. Here's Colorado with Primetime, 1,168 yards, 8 touchdowns. Jalen Polk, Washington, 1,159, 9 touchdowns. And my favorite, Josh Cephas, UTSA, 1149 and 10 touchdowns. And there you go. And Chris Mitchell, Notre Dame. Well, they ran too much, but 1,100 yards. So you get the feel of what you really should be picking versus the bullshit that, oh, Marvin Harrison should go forward. He's not even the top 10 receivers. I just showed you the top 10 receivers above Marvin Harrison. You can get a kid out of what? Tulane and Troy and Vegas. I think the third guy was out of Vegas. See, that's the problem. You get Marvin Harrison with the fourth pick, you're making a huge mistake. You want the kid out of Washington or the kid out of LSU with the fourth pick, not the kid out of Ohio State because his daddy's Marvin Harrison, who really wasn't that good in the pros anyway. But you have that moron going, Maserati Marv. I know Bobby likes that. And it's a bunch of bullshit. So if you're picking, if you leave a motion at outside and you pick based on the stats, you're never taking Caleb. You're never taking J.J. McCarthy. You're not taking Marvin Harrison in the top 10. You got running backs coming out of your ears, although I don't know who's there, but this Gordon, from a guy from Oak State's by far the best. And then we get Brock Bowers, who we haven't mentioned because he's the tight end. Let's look at Brock Bowers if they give us a tight end choice. Receiving, they don't. All right, let's go to the SEC. Let's see if we can get a Brock Bowers. See, he got her. Here he is. So he only played in 10 games, 714 yards, and 6 touchdowns. But he was hurt a few games. But he's also running, and he's also that. So there you go. And this is just the SEC. But he's the best. He's the number one pick. And then here's your other guys. So, LSU, South Carolina. I thought that was USC. South Carolina, Missouri, LSU, Texas, Trey Harris, Missouri. So don't tell me there's no players to take. You got the top 6 are better than Marvin Harrison, and they all get – Neighbors got 14 touchdowns. Thomas said, well, that's because they had Daniels. So a lot of it's the quarterback, right, and the offensive coordinator. So that's what you've got. Hartman, very good. Brock Bowers should go to the Jets. Who knows? I mean, you don't know that. You're just guessing. We don't do guesses here. We want to know he should go to San Diego, I think, has the closer pick. If the quarterbacks are gone, Oakland should take him. He'd be a fabulous pick there. So San Diego's getting earlier. Atlanta could use him. What's Atlanta going to do? I would rather have Brock Bowers than Marvin Harrison all day long. Your receivers don't win you games. Your tight ends and your running backs win you games. And they got Kirk Cousins, so they're in big trouble anyway. So when we go through the teams, he wouldn't do much on Chicago or Washington. San Diego could use him because they got rid of their receivers. Oakland, Denver, KC would love him with Mahomes. Cincinnati, I would just love if Cincinnati could get him. Burrow and Chase and Brock Bowers, oh my God. They'd score 50 points a game. But we'll see. I don't know that he goes to the Jets. Do the Jets need a tight end? The Jets still need a quarterback. Even if Aaron Rodgers can play the full year, that's it. How many more years do you got with him? Another 1 or 2, provided he doesn't get hurt and he's back from the Achilles. I don't know how long it takes for an Achilles. So Marvis Harrison is rated high. Is it highest or high? Is rated high. Well, okay, but that's more public shit than actual looking. If we looked at his stats, he can't touch the Washington guy or the LSU guy. He's nowhere near those two. So keep that in mind. Again, you've got to look at reality, which are the stats. The stats tell you everything. So that's what you try to do. So when somebody drafts Caleb, we laugh. When they draft Drake May, we laugh harder. And when they draft J.J. McCarthy, we roll on the floor. Now, we stay stoic. So what do? We bet against these idiots because we understand they suck. So if you want to draft Drake May, he ain't going to be any better than Steve Young on Carolina. He's going to be no better than Fields. He's going to be no better than Mitch Trubisky or Thurston Howell III. So how do we bet Thurston Howell III on Washington? And how do we bet Steve Young on Carolina? We pound against them. And that's what we're going to do here. I'm not sold on Richardson at Indy, and I'm certainly not sold on C.J. Stroud at Houston. C.J. Stroud is nowhere near these guys. All right. You think C.J. Stroud's good? Really? Okay. He isn't on the same field as Bo Nix, Hartman, Penix, or Daniels. He is nowhere near that. They're so much better than him. And Rising's even better than all those guys. And so Houston's got C.J. Stroud, and they're all excited. Yeah, he went to Ohio State. He doesn't know how to quarterback. Come on. Or this guy from Alabama, or Mac Jones, wherever he's ending up, or Trevor Lawrence. These guys suck. See, the difference is Burrow comes in, gets him to the Super Bowl. Mahomes goes to the Super Bowl. That's what we're looking for. These guys that dick around and look at C.J. Stroud. Oh yeah, they lost to Baltimore 62-3. They got a punt return. That's what I need you in the big game. I need you to show up. If you're not going to show up, you're useless. So that's what you look at. If Drake May goes to the Patriots, it wouldn't suck. We'd just bet a lot against the Patriots. I mean, being stoic, you can't control what the idiots do. And there's a lot of idiots. There's idiots that buy dollars. There's idiots that buy stocks instead of gold. There's nothing you can do about them. That's just what they are. They're idiots. So you just play along with it. So that's the NFL draft. We kind of know who. We'll study this tomorrow. We just got the first round. People will do things based on popular decisions, not what's best for their team. And it's really a joke. So we will see from here what the guys should have done, right? I showed you what they should have done, and then we'll see what happens. All right. Now let's get into the baseball. If everybody's done with football, if you have any more football, we can go back to it. So pretty good yesterday on the baseball. I hit Frisco. I lose Cal and Cleveland and Philly under, and then I go on a roll. Hit Milwaukee, the Dodgers, the Yankees over, Atlanta, Kansas City, Minnesota over. Minnesota was 6.5, and they scored 11 runs. I loved it. The Cubbies and San Diego, and the only loser in that bunch was Seattle. I went like 12-4 yesterday. I was just so proud. So what I'm doing is trying to get the expected outcomes. So I look at the variables, and as I gather the variables to get the expected outcomes, I'm playing around with them. What's important? We know the pitching is the ERAs, but I'm noticing a bad pitcher only pitches 3 or 4 innings, and we go to the bullpen. So where I expect the pitcher with an 8 ERA to give up 8 runs is not right. They're going to give up 3 runs, but I can't expect them to give up 8. And I need to tweak that, and I need to look at the bullpen. But otherwise, now I'm starting to move. So let's look at scores and schedules, and I see lot of today's Thursday is a travel day. Houston won over the Cubbies. Seattle 4, Texas 2, San Diego 4, Colorado 1. And wow, most of the games are done already. It's 4:00. The games are done. What's the point of having a 1:00 game? Who's going? Milwaukee beat Pitt 7-5. We would have won with a Jared Koenig 1-0 with a 1-3-5 against Chapman's not a reliever, but Chapman's 0-2 with the 6-7-5. So Milwaukee beats Pitt 7-5. Sorry about that, Luke. Cleveland beats Boston 6-4. Minnesota over the White Sox, another high-scoring game between the two. Philly 5, Cincinnati 0. Zach Wheeler gets the win with a 1.93 ERA. Keep an eye on him. And KC 2, Toronto 1 is in a delay. And I don't think we have anything. We got two games. The Dodgers in Washington. The Dodgers are 185, 7.5. So the Dodgers are big favorites. I had them over. I don't know if they won or not, but I know I had them over. Actually, that game just started. So all we got left is Oakland and the Yankees. So we're going with one game today. Let's see if we pick it. Oakland against the Yanks. The Yankees are 275 favorites. Alex Wood 0-2 with the 7.89. Nestor Cortez 1-1. So we'll go Yankees. Go Yanks. Beat Navy at the NYYs. So one game because that's all I got left. But we had to talk about the draft. It's today, so I don't mind that. If TK, you should go to the NFL draft and pass out pamphlets for your class. Well, it's going to be an economics class. I think what I would do is do one on football and one on economics, gold, and what's a market, what's money, all that stuff. So that's what I want to do. It'll be hard to keep them to like 45 minutes or an hour because if I'm teaching it as a regular class, I got to stick on one subject. We're here. I'm free to frolic in COMEX and bricks and the dollar and gold and silver and football and baseball. That's what I like about this. But I'm going to have to get very strict with this is what inflation is. That's going to be one class. This is what money is. This is why we buy gold. And keep it simple like that so these people can understand it. But I don't know how to really market it. I think I can do it on here. When I come on, there's a public and a private. So I go public that says anybody can watch it. And I think when I do the class on here, it'll be private. And I'll enter 10, 20 emails saying it's private to these 10 or 20 people. And then they'll get the class. And figure out what to do. Well, I'll keep it private. So I don't think if you don't register for the class, you'll even be able to see the video after. Because now, like Bobby watches the video at 10 o'clock tonight, this one. But if I private it, it's only private, only the people with the email addresses that I've invited. Even when I'm done and it's tomorrow and they want to go back, only those emails should be able to see it. So, it's too valuable to not teach more and then figure out how to draw a bigger audience. I mean, I see Mark McGuire and he gets, 5,000 people, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm much more valuable than that. So I need help to do the marketing type of thing. Yeah. Well, I used to go to Vegas, right, with my business cards, my TK cards. So my TK cards look like this. So it's a beautiful card. So it's got TK on this side, and then it's got Teaser King on this side, and it's all in blue, and it looks really cool. So me and then here's my Gmail, and here's my website, and here's my YouTube. I'm not on Facebook anymore. And so people like it because they like the cards because it's nobody makes black and blue, right? So that's what I liked about it. So people will keep the card to say, look, it's a black and blue card. And it is adorable. But, so I try to generate more people. And with my skill set, I'd blow everybody away. Between the football picks and the economics, I blow everybody away. It's funny. I asked Alligator if he wanted me to teach him Austrian economics because he keeps saying, I've talked to Austrian economics. And he doesn't, he's clueless. He says he's an economist, but he's not an Austrian, so he must be a Keynesian. I don't know what Alligator is, but he's starting to sound stupid to me. Egon seems like he's an Austrian, and Mark McGuire, I don't know what he is. I think he's just a banker and a broker. They're not economists, and there's a huge difference. So anyway, that's the goal, is to start teaching and then say fuck it to these classes, and then I can go with Daria and live there and still teach. That's the beauty of it. I can still teach anywhere there's internet. As far as I know, there is internet in Russia and Serbia and the rest of Europe. So draft is on. I'm not going to waste. Thank you, Greg and John. I love the color. Irina did it for me. My friend in Romania. She designed the card and the colors, and I thought it was very cool. I told her she should be doing marketing. Maybe I'll see if she can help me with this, with the class. She's really good at that kind of stuff. Too bad she's in Romania. Anyway, so that's basically, we're kind of like, all these games start at 1:00, but I don't, unless I start doing this at 10 o'clock in the morning, well, at least on Thursday. Friday mostly are nights. And then we do class Saturday and Sunday at 11, so we can do the baseball. I'm not too worried about that. But I do like Seattle's finally scoring. San Diego's been hot against Colorado. I hit them 2 days ago. I lost with them. Yesterday I won with them. Cleveland, Boston, that's an interesting series. They're both good. So now what I got to do is Sunday, after the games, update my stats, which is going to be a pain in the ass. So basically I took all the teams and so now I'm just going to look at, I'm really just going to look at the team and the runs. And then I'm not going to call them over under yet, or A's or Z's, because I don't really know. And then the ERA is not the bullpen, it's the whole thing. And I don't need RBIs. I do need average. The runs per game I've got here. So it's really take this column and then take the ERA and take the batting average. And that's all I'm going to take. And see how helpful it is. So this is how you forecast. You're looking for variables that are meaningful. That's the key to it. So once you understand it's a meaning, like defense, Mahomes, those are variables that are meaningful. The quarterback, the defense, the pitcher, that's what you're looking for. And then there's some that are meaningless, like time of possession or turnovers in the NFL are absolutely meaningless. Because of the turnover, it fucks up the time of possession. And because you don't know when the turnover is coming, it's more or less if, like J.J. McCarthy's got, 20 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Well, he's not going to score you a lot of points. I mean, here he's on this great team, and all they do is run the ball because he sucks. So I don't buy that. But Michigan was kind of like it was kind of a trick. It was not really. They blitz 6 guys, so you think they have a good defense. Let's see them do it. Let's see what they do at San Diego. Are they going to blitz 6 guys every play? If they are, we're going to bet them under. They're going to win a lot of games 3-0. Pass out my card around town. Well, the one thing you got to understand, Greg and John, is you got to hit your audience. I can give my card to somebody who doesn't like football. There's a lot of people I talk to at the club who are not positive on gold. So I've got to, it's passing it out to the right person. So that's why I would go, when I'd go to Vegas 5, 6 years ago, when Cam Newton was going to the Super Bowl, I was in Vegas, and I would try to pass the card out. And I'd sit at Caesar's Palace in the sports book, and we'd watch the game, and I'd pass out a few cards. You can't just go to everybody, here's my card. Nobody's going to want it. So you do that. At poker, I would talk about it. And I had one guy at poker, knew me, saw the videos, gave me $100 in chips for my bets. So I do, that was a big highlight. I do, the guy, oh, I know who you are. And all it was a good day. All the bets won, so I was happy for the guy. Share it on your streams on social media. Well, you have Teaser King here. The card gets you here. Here gets you to teaserking.com, which is my football, which we're not doing now because it's not football season, although we'll talk on the draft. But it's if you're here, you know it's Teaser King, so you don't need the card. Even now, I don't know how much I need the card because if I'm in the locker room or I'm at the club or I'm at a restaurant or at poker, I just show my YouTube and I say, here's me. And then they like I forward it to them. And then I've done that at the gold store where here's what I am. And then I'll forward the video to them. And then they're like, oh, okay, that's great. So that's what I do with it. But yeah, I mean, that's why I have it. So, I kind of hope like you guys tell your friend, oh yeah, this Teaser King, he gave me all these winners and da 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 da. I don't know if that happens or not. I don't know if they just buy from me and give to their friends. I'd hope not, but that's fine if that's what they want to do. I had one guy years ago, he'd buy from me and then he'd try to sell the picks on his own. So he'd sell them as his picks. Did I care? A little bit, but as long as he's buying from me, he can do whatever he wants with them. But I didn't like that he was buying them to sell. So, am I on Twitter? Not as a video. I don't know how to do that yet. I haven't looked into it, but I do have a Teaser King on Twitter. But I'm off Facebook. I don't like Zuckerberg. I don't want everything sold by that asshole. And I'm on Instagram, but I don't use it much. I don't see the point of Instagram. So we will see about that. But yeah, I am on Twitter. But I always thought this was the best, is you can hear and see me, and then you can trust me, and then you'll sign up. That was the idea of this, was to do that. Okay. So now I'm going to play. Well, let's see what gold's doing. Still 23.33. It got up to 23.35. Silver's going up to 27.41. Again, we're trying to get silver to 30. And gold, 23.33. Monday was just down, but then it's been kind of up and down. Let's go to Egon. So I want to get directly. There's 3 passages on Egon that I want to show you if we're done with football and baseball. Baseball, there wasn't much. Football, anything else on the draft or anything. Again, you got some new coaches. You got a lot of coaches that shouldn't be coaching. A lot of bad GMs out there. I have no idea what they're doing. I bet you half the GMs haven't seen that Oregon-Washington game. If they saw it, they'd be all over Penix and Nix. But I bet you the GMs haven't seen it for themselves, and therefore they don't know to pick it. And for some reason, they're on Caleb, but they didn't watch the Oregon game, the Utah game, or the Notre Dame game. Because if they did, they would never take Caleb. Or the UCLA game, which I didn't even watch yesterday. I know they sacked him like 7-8 times and got a couple interceptions from him. Throws a lot of interceptions. He fumbles the ball a lot. He gets sacked an awful lot. He don't know what he's doing. He's not. The Bears will be lucky to win 3 games with him. I think they would have been better off keeping Fields at this point. Not that Fields is any good, but he's better than Caleb. If that's their draft. If they're smart and they can draft Penix or Daniels, then they'd be much better off. Daniels, you got to look at, here's the difference. Caleb, every big game against a good defense, he got killed. Notre Dame, Oregon, Oregon State, Utah, UCLA. Penix, on the other hand, had Georgia and he had Alabama, or not Penix, Daniels. Georgia, Alabama. He played some big teams, and Penix and Penix looked really good against those teams, as did Bo Nix. Bo Nix ate up Utah, did good against Washington twice, Oregon State and Washington State. So against the good defensive teams, he played well. Caleb didn't. So do you think it's going to change when he hits the pros on the Bears? I mean, it's insane. It's just pure insanity. You don't get better when you go up to the pros. You get worse. All right. I should do shorts. You should do shorts on YouTube. Yeah, I could if I can figure them out and try to do them, I guess. We can try that. But I really want to teach the economics is my goal and focus right now. All right. So let's get to Egon the Eagle.
There is central bank buying and there are free countries buying. But the investment community is not buying at all. That's still, if you look at ETFs or funds, they're going down still. And we ourselves haven't seen much buying. A little bit coming in now, a little bit more, but also, as you say, we're also seeing profit taken. And of course, it's a major mistake, as I wrote in a recent article. The exponential phase of gold and silver rally is now starting, and this is going to move very fast and very high for quite a long time. So. No, and it will be overbought many times and still continue. This is not a normal market now. This is an exponential market, and we will see major gains. And at some point, I think from much higher levels, we will see vicious corrections. Obviously, even bigger in silver because it always moves faster. But the trend is going to be up for several years, in my view. So therefore, the time to get onto this trend, if you're not already in it, is now, because don't wait for corrections, because they might only happen from a much higher level. So it's an exciting time, but still.
Did you get that, Luke? Luke's always worried about it. That's what he said. Own goal, it's going to hit exponential levels, and there'll be, like, he thinks it's profit taking. He still doesn't get it. The only time it goes down is the derivative, because the central bank wants it to go down. The central bank will be long gone when this thing hits 5,000 an ounce. Central bank ain't going to be around. It's not what he doesn't understand is what's happening is the paper gold, the central bank selling to get the price down. It's the derivatives. That's why you see these. But once it's gone, Ain't nobody selling their gold and profit taking. That's the stupidest thing you can possibly do. Because then the thought is, okay, so if you buy a stock at $20, say you buy Coca-Cola and then it goes to 40, you go, wow, it just went up a lot. I'm going to profit take. So you sell it at 40, you made 50%. It goes back maybe to 25, and then you buy it again at 25. So I profit took, made some money, and then bought it again. You can't do that with gold because of the premium. So gold's I bought it at 2,000. It goes to 2,400. I'm going to sell it and profit take. Okay, so I sell what? 50 ounces at 2,400. Okay, now it's 2,330. Oh, I'll buy it back. Well, it's going to cost you 2,430 to buy it back because of the premium. If you can find it, again, you have to hunt and find. If you sold 50 ounces of gold, where are you going to get it from? Not just sitting there. It's not like a stock that's there. It's gold. It's gold coins, and you got to go to the coin shop, and he's got to have it for you. So you can't be going dicking around selling it, and then you got to hope like hell you can buy it back, and you're going to pay more because it's going to be based on premium. So it's going to be more than you sold it for. So you did make some money, but then buying it back, if you're lucky, and then off you go. So that's going to be your problem. He doesn't get that yet. Just like Alligator and him don't get, it's the money going down, not the gold going up. So I went in his Twitter and I said, so the day gold's going down, I go, so now is what the gold is the dollar going up? So gold's going down? I don't think so. I think you're full of it. I think it is the dollar. It is I quoted Adam Smith and says, if the demand for the product outseeks supply, the price goes up. That's what's happening. So he didn't respond, unfortunately. Doesn't have the balls to respond to the professor. All right, let's go to the next little group.
Such an easy form of protecting yourself when you know over time you can never go wrong with holding gold because currencies are always going to go down against gold. And you show the short-term move here, dollar gold. But if you take, since 1971, all currencies have gone down 97, 99% against gold. And since 2000, they've gone down about 80% against gold. So the trend is so clear, and therefore, whatever short-term strength there is in the currency is really meaningless because all currencies are going down, and it doesn't matter which one comes first to the bottom. There's no prize for coming first to the bottom, and therefore, one should not look at currencies as anything else but the folly of governments to print money and destroy the currency. And that's what gold is really revealing by always going up against all currencies. But sadly, governments will, of course, never tell the people that they're destroying their money and that they should really hold gold instead of a worthless paper currency. But people will discover that now in the next few years because, as we see, I think the acceleration down of the currencies is starting now. And this is why, of course, gold measured in worthless paper money will go up significantly. But I think gold will go up by even more than purchasing power. I think gold will, in the next few years, outperform also purchasing power.
Oh, you mean because of demand?
Because a lot of investors are going to want to hold gold from central banks, from sovereign wealth funds, investors, funds, etc. So, and as we know, there isn't enough gold around. So the only way that new investors in gold can satisfy their requirement for gold is by paying more for it, because they're not going to get more weight. They're going to get less weight and have to pay more for it. That's what's going to happen. So that's why I get on this gold wagon now before it's too late, because it's going to move up in a strong way on. Again, only because the currencies are going to come down dramatically, and because the whole investment world are going to put more money into gold. And we know we can't produce more gold in the world. It's about a bit over 3,000 pounds.
Oh, so you can't print it.
Mines coming every year, and there isn't more that can be got out of the mines. So therefore, if more people want gold, the only way they can get it is by paying more money for it, because we can't produce more. So that's an interesting situation with a squeezed supply and what is going to be a very strong demand.
Interesting, Egon, is an understatement.
So basically he said, A, you can't print it, which is what I tell you. B, demand is huge, so that's going to raise the price. C, all the dollars are going out, which is going to force people to look for an out, and that out's going to be gold, because that's your only out. It's like going to a restaurant and, oh, we're serving hamburgers. We're all out of chicken. We're all out of hot dogs. And, then you start realizing, oh, shit, I'm getting a hamburger because that's all there is. Only here, that's all there is gold. There is no other out. There's no other choice. You've got to buy gold. So that's the point I'm making. As people realize the dollars are bullshit, which is what we're going to be trying to teach them, they'll have to run to gold and silver. And the price of gold is going to go so high, they're not going to be able to get gold. They're going to have to run to silver, which is money. That'll be fine. But the gold price will keep going because there's more demand than there is supply, which is my point about the Mahomes card, the 50 count. There's 100 people. It's worth more. And the same thing with gold and silver. It's worth more. So therefore, there's more demand for it. So it doesn't really, demand's what pushed the price, not the fact the dollar's going down. Alligator seems to have the misconception that gold is worth whatever, and it doesn't matter. It's the dollar. It takes more dollars to buy the gold. But there's also a demand component into that. If everybody wants gold for safe haven, it is an investment. It goes up because of the demand. But alligator can't seem to think like that for some reason. That's why he's an alligator, I guess. All right. And our last section. See, it's better than the whole freaking thing. Okay, so here's section 3. Egon, any questions? You should do shorts on YouTube, I know. Okay.
Pyramid or the Exeter funnel, and that is very interesting because when it comes crumbling down from top to bottom, then they will flee into gold. Here it is, credit default swaps. So we have the derivatives complex on top, and then it becomes, the more down we get, more secure. But treasury bills, okay, we will see how secure they are. But then at the bottom, we see gold. And when this complex crumbles, I think we will see, Egon, gold prices that nobody can imagine today.
That's correct. And I've been saying that for quite a while, gold and silver also. But, gold is the number one. This is the king of the metals. And gold will reach levels that no one can imagine today, as you said. So that's a fact, and that's not sensational in any way. And of course, this pyramid is.
So as I say, when I say 50,000 an ounce, I mean it, and I'm conservative by it. And the reason is the demand. Because all the dollars go out, everybody holding dollars, which is approximately 8 million people, will have to get into another currency, which is going to be gold or the BRICS currency, backed by gold. So when everybody tries to get off the Titanic, because the Titanic's sinking and you get that frenzy and that fear, I'm going to die, I'm going to drown. Well, that's the same thing you're going to have in the dollar. Oh my God, how am I going to eat? I need something of value that I can buy food with. Pay my rent, pay the utilities. That's when gold goes. That's what we're waiting for. So it's going to go up. But when that happens, the buying's going to be used. There's nothing COMEX is going to be able to do about it. I don't even know if the U.S. government will still be here, because once it goes bankrupt, there is no government. If it doesn't have money to steal from us, there is no government. So that's the beauty. They can't touch our gold, especially physical. I don't have any gold. What are you talking about? So that's the beauty of it. All right.
As it shows, that is inverted here, as it's shown. But of course, the bottom of this pyramid, or the foundation, more importantly, you should call it, should be gold. This whole system should rest on gold. Now it's resting on just fake instruments, whether that's fake money or fake derivatives. And derivatives, of course, is the biggest financial asset there is today. As we said, 600 trillion officially.
It's all going bye-bye.
Trillions. And that, in my view, and I've been talking about that in many articles, I think that at some point these derivatives will come under attack, and of course counterparty will fail, and when counterparty fails, then the whole system will implode. In the beginning, central banks will try to print money to save the derivatives market, but you cannot, when you talk about world GDP being 100 trillion, and you talk about at least 600 trillion of derivatives, and as I said, might be in the quadrillions, they cannot print enough money, and the money they print will become worthless. But initially it will become bank debt, and that's why bank debt will increase exponentially, but it will be meaningless because it will be totally worthless. And at some point in the next few years, that will implode, and then we'll have a real problem in the financial system. Then there'll be bank closures, and then there'll be defaults. Stock markets will crash, bond markets will crash, money will be worthless. There will be absolute catastrophe in the financial world. And sadly, as we discussed before, we have no world where also the geopolitical side is also extremely fragile. So we're in for very dangerous times now, Jan, as we mentioned in the beginning. That's what David is talking about on the financial side. And yes, I have a great fear that it is going to materialize that.
And it might materialize quicker than we think. And there is one important note, Egon. We just said if the counterparty risk pays out and the financial system is crumbling, be careful where you hold your protection. That is very important to have it outside the banking system. For instance, your gold holdings. I think that would be a key issue, something to note. Even if you have a bit higher fees now, you have to get your gold, precious metal, whatever, out of the banking system.
Yes, and this is why we created this for ourselves about almost 25 years ago, a system where you would hold your gold and silver directly outside the banking system with direct access. And now, this 25 years ago, and still, of course, there's only 0.5% of world financial assets in gold today. So most people haven't woken up to it yet. And the problem is that when people try to get out of what they have and buy gold, first of all, a lot of people will stay in and ride the stock market, bond markets all the way to the bottom because they will always hope for a recovery. So they won't even have any money to buy gold for. It will only be a fraction of investors who buy gold. But if world financial assets went from 0.5% into gold to 1%, 1.5%, that's more than the gold market could ever take, and it will. So that's the only type of increase that actually the gold market could satisfy, and that's still minuscule, of course. So most people will stay in what they have. They will not sell. They will sell at the bottom, that most investors do. And there will be a tremendous reduction in wealth in the world because of this implosion, and at the same time a massive massive growth of debt, of course, and debt that will never be repaid.
So better get your gold now. And if you play in the stock market, who knows if Webb is completely right? There is, for instance, Martin Armstrong, who says that's all not the case. You have your stocks, and if they would take you everything like they did with the gold in the 1930s, that would be a revolution. So don't worry about that. I'm not so sure. We are living in crazy times. But if you are in the market with stocks, derivatives, be ready to jump out at any moment and rather put a larger part of your money into physical metals. A final statement, Egon?
Yes, Jan, we have discussed something that most people don't believe in today, because investors are fully invested in stock markets, fully invested in property market, the ones with money, surplus money, and in bond markets, and they have woken up to what's happening, and it's very sad that all these warnings that, well, we've given or now being given for 25 years, that still they're not reacting. But all we can say is just don't think about now. Don't be greedy. Don't try to just make that extra 1 or 2% in the stock market. Instead, protect your 99% by holding a real physical asset outside the financial system. That throughout history is the only money that has survived, and which will be your best insurance against what's going to happen in the next few years. And that's really what people should think about. And then, as I always say, at the end of the day, it's all about people, friends and family, etc. So take care of your family and take care of your friends, and enjoy life as long as we can.
Thank you, Egon. That was a good final statement.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold says so. So I wanted to play that again, but just at the certain spots. This is what I get frustrated about when I tell people to buy gold and they just don't get it. And you're trying to think, why don't you get it? And they don't get it because they don't understand what it is. They don't understand what toilet paper looks like. Oh, it's got a 1 on it, it must be valuable. Or it's got a 5 on it, it must be valuable. No, it's worthless. I could take here, I'll put 100 on it. So this piece of paper, I put 100 on it, so it's worth 100. I mean, it's the same bullshit. It's not worth anything. So that's really what I keep trying to think of, is how to educate people that they don't understand that they think the dollar won't collapse. They don't understand what it is, that if you print something to death, it goes to zero. They can't understand that concept, which blows my mind, how you can't get that concept. You keep printing, it's worthless. Why is that such a hard concept to understand? And yet they don't believe it, because we survived 2000 and we survived 2008. And we always survive the Depression. So we'll survive here. So they don't quite get that this is the end. This is you aren't going to survive this. You've never had 35 trillion in debt, and your dollar is worthless because it's not backed by anything. Now, most of from 1879 to 1913, we had a gold-backed currency. Then from 1944, after the war, to 1979, we had a gold-backed currency. And we survived fine. And that left us enough balance that we were able to survive the 1970s and 2000 and 2008. We had enough money, and people really couldn't fight us, and that was it. But now, with Russia and China understanding it's a bunch of bullshit, and it's worth a Snickers candy wrapper, that's the other part. BRICS coming out with the gold-backed currency is the killer. Not because it's bad, it's competition. You have the dollar that has no competition, and all of a sudden, here comes the competition. That's why COMEX tries to keep the gold price down. So they say, look, there's no competition here. but then they never tell you the price of the dollar. So, gold's at 23.33 today. You don't know what the dollar's at. It's at zero, but nobody's going to tell you that. They'll say, well, compared to the euro, it's this and that, or the British pound, but they don't tell you the value of the dollar. But they tell you the value of gold and the value of oil, but not the value of the dollar. And that's why people don't get it. So people are living under this false illusion that everything's okay. And no matter what happens, we'll be fine, that the dollar won't go away. And that's where the problem lies. They don't really understand that the dollar is gone and it can't come back. You can't have 35 trillion in debt and 130 trillion throughout the world in debt, and you don't have it backed by gold. They don't realize that's it. That's the nail in the coffin. It's done. They don't realize that, and they don't want to, and they just want to live in a fantasy land. I'll be okay. I got 100 grand in the bank, or I got 300 grand in the bank. I'll be fine. Or Warren Buffett. I got $2 billion. I'll keep it in cash, and then I'll buy things cheap. And you're like, not if it's not worth it. If you got 2 billion in monopoly money, Warren, it isn't worth anything. It's monopoly money. So really, that's the problem. They don't understand that the dollar's gone, because you can still go to the store and use it to buy groceries, to go to the restaurants, to go get clothes, to go on a trip, to pay for your stuff, to pay for your mortgage. It still works. So they don't see that it's not, or they see it's working, but it's done. And that's really the problem. It's stopped working. And when the BRICS gold currency comes out, who are you going to want? Right? You're gonna want steaks or tuna fish. I mean, that's about it. So we're tuna, and we think it's fine. And then here comes somebody with New York strips. Well, would you rather eat? Of course, the steaks. Well, most people. And so that's the problem. Here comes this new currency backed by gold. You're going to want gold, or you're going to want toilet paper. But people don't quite grasp that the dollar is worthless. And you can't really explain it to them, because it's very hard to see, because it has 100 on it, or I can go to this, I can use it. So they don't get it. I need to get gas. I'll use the dollar to get gas, and it works. So therefore, what are you talking about? And I was talking to my friend in Florida. Yeah, toilet paper is what alligator? That was Egon. So I was talking to my friend in Florida, and I'm telling him about gold, like, you better buy it now, because it's gone and it's going to go through the roof. And there's no like waiting for it to drop. You either buy it now, or you're not going to be able to find it. And you're not going to be able to find it at 20. Right now it's 2,400. Soon it's going to be 3,000, and you're not going to be able to find it. And if you do, it's going to cost you 3,000. And he gets it. And then he was talking to his buddy, who's like a millionaire, I guess. And he had a roofing company, and he sold it and got all this money. And he's in the Bitcoin and all the cryptos. He owns all these cryptocurrencies, and he thinks that's the savior. The savior of Rome is the cryptocurrencies, yes. And he has some gold, but he wants to sell the gold and get the cryptos. So he wants to profit take and get the cryptos. And, I don't know what to tell my friend, except he knows not to buy Bitcoin. And I said, well, the problem is, you don't know what Bitcoin is. It's not an asset. It's not backed by anything, and it's priced in dollars. So what happens when the dollar goes out? The gold will still have a big value. The dollar won't, and everything in dollars won't. And Bitcoin will not have a value, because it can't be valued in Bitcoin. And Bitcoin is not money, because nobody takes it. Only in the Bitcoin casino does the Bitcoin get used. God, So you can only sell Bitcoin to somebody who has it. So you can't go to Toyota and buy a car. They don't have Bitcoin, or GM or Ford or Cadillac. You can't go to the grocery store or the restaurant. If they don't take Bitcoin, it's worthless. So what good is it? Gold bars are very cool. So are gold coins. Anything gold is it's very pretty. That's why it's demanded. It's a very pretty thing, the gold, and it goes up in value. So everybody's happy with it. Anyway, and the thing about gold is you can't print it. There's 250,000 tons, and that's it. And you can't print more. You've got 150 trillion of these. So how can this have a value when the gold can't be printed? That's why gold stayed around since the beginning of the time of the Roman Empire, is because you can't print more of it. So you can inflate it, so it can't lose its value. That's the beauty of it. So I'm trying to explain to his friend that, well, okay, ask yourself, why are all the central banks buying gold and not Bitcoin? Every central bank in the world but the U.S., China, Russia, India, Romania, Czechoslovakia, Germany, they're all buying gold. None of them are buying Bitcoin. So ask yourself why. Why wouldn't they buy Bitcoin if it's going to be the savior of Rome? Why are they buying gold, which is the savior of Rome? So that's really the big key, is even if you don't know anything about it, if all the central banks are buying gold and not buying Bitcoin, maybe you should buy gold too, even if you don't even understand it. But if you see what they're doing, you probably want to do the same thing. So that's kind of where that's at. So I just try to tell them that Bitcoin's not backed by anything, or cryptos. They're not money and they're not backed by anything. How are they going to save them? You don't know what the price is. It's like a stock. It's like a penny stock. It could go up, but most of them go to zero, because at the end of the day, as everything's falling, what are you going to want to be in, Bitcoin or gold? And at the end of the day, you don't know what Bitcoin's value is. And I can see people running out of Bitcoin to buy gold before I see people running out of gold to go to Bitcoin. And the only reason people are in Bitcoin is they think it's going to go to $1 million. So they're really just trying to, I'm going to make money on Bitcoin because Michael Saylor says I am, or some of these other idiots who don't understand economics are trying to say, hey, yeah, Bitcoin's the new money. Well, it isn't, because the biggest thing is the government. This is property of the United States of America Federal Reserve, and Bitcoin isn't. And gold is. Gold's in the Constitution as money. This says the government backs it, and then what do you want to do with Bitcoin? The government's not going to back it. They're not going to allow it. It's not going to have value because it's not priced in dollars. So what are you going to do with it? You don't even know what the value is of it. Now, of course, gold, 23.30, 23.40, 24. Gold, everything, but everything moves. The dollar, how much is the dollar's worth? Well, it's down to zero, so it's probably not worth anything, but that's what you're looking at. It's everything moves because that's what the market does. Nothing stays the same. It's impossible. So that's really the problem. So people think they're going to get rich by buying the cryptos, but they don't. It's like money and gold. They don't understand why. Well, it only works if somebody new comes in and buys it. But these are not even Bitcoin. These are other cryptos. And he's all sold that he's going to make $1 million in cryptos. And the question is, but it's not even money. It's nothing. You don't even know what it is. It's a computer thing. It's not worth anything. And especially the littler ones, they'll all go out. Bitcoin is not going to survive, but that's the only one that has an opportunity because it's been around for a while. But the end is near for that, because as the dollar goes out, what are you going to value Bitcoin as? And gold doesn't need money to be valued. It's valued in gold. We'll buy a house with gold. You ain't buying a house with Bitcoin, because the seller of the house needs to be able to accept it. If he doesn't have a Bitcoin account, You can't give him Bitcoin. Even if it's worth $100,000 and you give him 3 Bitcoins for the house, you can't take it because he doesn't have an account. And then what you going to do with it when he gets it? You can't go to the bank and say, give me $300,000. That's never going to work. But if I give him a couple ounces of gold and gold's at 100,000, I give him 2 or 3 ounces of gold. He takes it and does a song and a dance and he puts it in his pocket. He doesn't need to do anything with it. He knows it's money and but he has it. I've got gold in my hand. You never have these cryptos in your hand. And I'm sorry, if I can't hold my, imagine if this was a digital card, not a Mahomes card. What would I feel if this was digital? I don't own anything. I don't have it. But because I have it in my hand and it's Mahomes and it's 50, I know I got a valuable asset. But I don't have a valuable asset in crypto because I can't. It's digital. Nothing digital is worth anything because you don't really have it. I was watching something on gold, and the point was, well, you can hold the gold bar. That was the big point about it. There's something in Africa with the mines and stuff, and you can't touch the crypto, and you don't even know if it's real. All you have is a Bitcoin account. It says you got 1 Bitcoin worth whatever. And okay, I can sell it and then I get money for it. But how do I get the money? Well, I got to transfer it to my bank account. How am I going to get my money out of the bank account when the banks aren't there or the banks are limiting what you can do? If I get money, I run and if I get 50,000, I run and take 10 and 15 and 10. I don't try to take the 50 because I know I'm never going to get it. So if you got 300,000, and as Egon said in his thing, you don't own it anymore. The bank owns your money. You just have a deed on the money. So you're saying, here's 20 grand. The bank says, fine, this is now mine. But you have a slip that says, we owe you 20,000 if we decide to pay you. Because if they don't want to pay you, they don't have to. But I bet you didn't know that. So what are you going to do with your Bitcoin? Send it into dollars into the bank and you'll never get it out. And what's the value of it? You don't even know. So that's really the problem. But it isn't anything. And it's not backed by gold or anything. And it's not real money because nowhere takes it. So to me, it's like a penny stock or, I guess it's like a Mahomes card. This is like Bitcoin. In my world, if there's a Mahomes buyer, he'll sell it to me. That's like Bitcoin. It's only worth something if there's somebody else who wants it, will give me value for it. Otherwise, this is worthless if I can't get a seller or buyer. So if I put it on eBay and there's no buyers, this isn't worth anything because I can't find anybody who wants it. If I can't find anybody who wants it, it's worth zero. The dollar, nobody's going to want it. Nobody's buying our T-bills. Nobody wants this. I know when I go to Europe, it's expensive to change this into euros. Gold, never a problem. Gold will be bought. You go to my gold store, my guy, somebody comes in and it's legit. He pays them every time. Not a problem, not a worry. He knows it's gold. Everybody knows golds have value. But if you brought in a Bitcoin, you're out of luck. See, so it's not really money, but they try to say it's digital gold. Well, gold isn't digital, gold's physical. Gold's only gold because you got physical gold in your hand and it's going to have a value. And that's what it is. So anyway, that's what you got to understand. But people, they hear things and believe them but don't really understand them. So if somebody says to buy Bitcoin and they come across like they know what they're talking about, they do. Now there's the crypto queen, right? I showed you that video, and she's selling this crypto called OneCoin. The only problem was it didn't exist. There was no OneCoin. Yet she came across like, oh, it's going to be better than Bitcoin and it's worth a ton and da 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 da. And then the Russian mafia got involved, and then she had to say, I don't have any, it's not real. I made it all up. And she's been on the run ever since, hiding in all these countries and getting face changes and everything else because she can't show her face. She's going to get murdered by the Russian mafia because it doesn't exist. And that's really the problem. Does your Bitcoin exist? I doubt it. It's digital. Does anything digital really exist? That's why I like physical. That's why I don't want digital currency. This exists, but if this is digital, it doesn't exist. Look at ETFs. They don't exist. There's no gold in the ETFs. You don't own it. If you bought 20 ETFs thinking you got 20 ounces of gold, you don't have any gold. There's no gold. There's 1 ounce of gold that they give to 50,000 people, and nobody's getting the ounce. That belongs with the Madoff who's running it. That Rick Rude and the other guy Sprout. They're both should be in jail for Ponzi scheming, trying to sell their ETF like it's physical gold, like you actually have physical gold, and you don't. So I hope they go to jail. They're both Canadians, so that figures. And we'll see what happens, but stay away from ETFs. That's why you only buy physical, because then you have it. And if you have it, you have it. Then there's no issue. And if you don't have it, you don't have it. So if you have ETFs and you think you have gold, you don't have gold. And that's the problem with it. Yes, gold bars are cool. Gold coins are cool. Anyway, that's Egon. I'm going to play that Gaddafi thing on my own tonight, just for 5 minutes, just to see if I get knocked out. And if it accepts it, then I'll play it tomorrow, because I want to show this whole Gaddafi thing. Gold 23.32. See, just doesn't move. It hit 23.43 at 10:15, and that's it. Silver 27.43. That's about it. So the draft, I think, is at 8 o'clock. It's 5 o'clock. I wouldn't waste time watching it. Just put on Pluto or Tubi or something and watch a good movie. I've been watching The Cincinnati Kid, and it's a good movie. Steve McQueen he's always cool in the movies. And he gets suckered. It's a strange ending of the movie, I thought, where, it's a cooler, and now he's like, oh, I'm not good, and here I'm so good. And yeah, but it was a cooler. It's not like he was stupid. He had a full house. The other guy had a straight flush. Well, what do you want him to do? Fold the full house? I mean, it's just, that's what happens. It's just unlucky, but he should have been precautionary about it. When I play poker, I get the same information with the $25 bet as I do with the $200 bet. Either you got a hand and you're calling me, or you're folding. If I bet 25, if you're calling me, it's because you got a hand, and otherwise you're folding. So I can get the same information with $25 and not go broke as I can with $300. So why bet the fucking 300? Bet the 25, and you just be patient and you build your bankroll. That's the key to everything. Anyway, so I think that's about it. The Gaddafi thing is really sad. He's gonna educate Africa, Libya, free hospital, free education, and he's got water for the whole Africa, and the U.S. destroys it. And and then, like I said, and then there's the We Are the World. Oh, we got to feed all the starving people in Africa. Like, well, you didn't fucking destroy the pipeline. You wouldn't have to do this. And then the best part is that they got all these sucker singers for nothing. Nobody charged, because it's for people that need food, even though we blew up their pipeline. What a bunch of suckers. And then you look at them and going, these are nothing guys. They're just singers. Like I sing. I'm not a star. I'm not a big singer. I don't have a key. I can't. I don't know what I'm doing if I sing. But who are these people? Like actors, who are they? They're nobodies. Who's George Clooney? He's an actor. He's nothing special. There's no economics. He's an idiot, basically. And when you really stoically look at these people, you're like, who are these? Like, why do we make a big deal about a musician, a singer, or an actor? They're nobodies. They're really nobodies. They're losers, basically. Go do something real with your life. Go teach economics. That's then helping people. You going on and making a movie that nobody gives a shit about is probably not a big deal. So, anyway. All right. I think that's about it. Time for dinner. We will talk draft tomorrow. At least the first round, and we'll prepare for the second and third round. I guess I don't know why they gotta. I mean, they should be able to do 7 rounds in one day. It should just be all day Saturday, and you got 5 minutes. Make your pick, and off you go. So I don't realize what they're wasting time. I wouldn't go to downtown. You'd have to pay me to go to it. A nice steak and let me go and free parking, and that would be it. But man, who would go to the draft? What is the point? And I love listening to the radio. Oh, it's my what is a bucket list item? I went to the draft. No, maybe the Super Bowl, not the draft. Who gives a fuck about the draft? All right. That's about it. So go have a nice night. Watch the draft. It's Penix, it's Hartman, it's Bo Nix, and it's Daniels. Anybody else, it's a bust and a waste of time. Well, I'm not going to watch it. I'll be watching a movie, but I'll look in at about 11 o'clock to see who got drafted where. So we will see. But yeah, that's about all it is. All right. Anything else? Economics, gold, Bitcoin, Egon, alligator, anything like that. All right. I will see you later. I'm going to run a test on if I can show the Gaddafi video. All they're going to do is say, nope, it's not allowed, like the wrestling ones, or it'll go. I think it'll go through because I don't know who. I don't recognize the person. What's my favorite movie? I like the Lord of the Rings a lot, and the Batman movies I like a lot. This new The Batman I like. I like the other. Well, I like two. I like the Batman Begins and the Joker one. I did not like. I thought the Bane one was the stupidest storyline. It had no. What was the point of it? I had no interest in the third one. The first two were good. They blew the third one. And Lord of the Rings, I liked. Something I could watch again. Some of these older ones. I mean, I like the Cincinnati Kid. I don't think it's my favorite. Some of these older war movies, The Bridge on the River Kwai and the Guns of Navarone, those type of movies I like. But as I watch them more, they're getting more and more boring. I was watching 24 yesterday, last few days. I like that. We need Jack Bauer now to get rid of Biden, but that's where we're at with that. And stuff like that. So I like analytical where I got to think and figure out. And Money Heist, I think, is my favorite series type of thing where it's not a movie per se, but I love the professor always having a plan B and that. So very much like Money Heist. I don't like Berlin as much, but I like Money Heist. Berlin's kind of stupid. They're all singing. The guy's pulling a bank robbery, and then after, instead of getting the hell out of there, he's singing. Yeah, probably doesn't make any sense. So not really clear on that, but maybe the second Berlin will be better, or they should do more. So what I don't get, they got this huge audience for the Professor in Tokyo and the Money Heist, and then they stop after doing two. Like you can't think of a third heist they can do. Like seriously, like go to Russia to stop the war, or steal from Putin. Like that would work. So yeah, don't really understand why they can't think of it. It's so popular. Why do they stop? Um, anyway, stuff like that I like. Anyway, that's about it. So I will talk to you tomorrow and have a good day. Time for dinner. Enjoy your draft. But I wouldn't watch. I would just check in who got drafted. I really wouldn't waste time. I can't stand Mel Kiper and all these idiot announcers. They're all idiots. You had pizza and bon appetit. I'm very careful with pizza. The bread and the cheese are terrible for you. It's like you're eating this much sugar if you're eating a pizza because all the bread is sugar. The cheese isn't good for you. And it's a real tough meal because it's not. I remember when I was working at that stupid job with the sliders. They'd have like pizza every Friday, and I go, I don't want pizza. It's terrible for you, and I wouldn't eat it. It was like it's extremely bad for your health. It's all sugar. It's all bread and cheese, and people would still eat it, and you just roll. It's like gold and money, and people just ignore you. People are a bunch of babies. They do what they want, but they don't know how to formulate why they do things or what to do. They won't get out of dollars into gold because they don't know, because it's too hard to work. They won't get out of bread and out of high fructose corn syrup because they have no idea. And it's really just ridiculous how stupid people are. But the problem is you can tell them stuff and they still won't listen to it, right? That's the problem. So there's this fat guy who's starting to join me in the swim lane, which I really don't like. And so if I tell him, I haven't told him yet, like I can stop your diabetes if you fast and get away from sugar, you'll lose a bunch of weight. But will he listen to me? So I really haven't told him yet. It's like, nah, you're smarter than I am, so I won't help you. And it's just amazing. Like you could help all these people, but they don't want your help. What do you do? So that's where I got to be stoic. Greg and John. Well, see, if I have pizza, it's once in a while, and I'll have a couple of pieces. I don't want the whole pizza. And, like it's this football game or, a Super Bowl or something. But I find most people, like when they have the lunches, they bring in pizza. It's cheap, but it's terrible for all the, like when I was at swim, there was a bunch of kids because it was bring your kids to work day. And they had all these pizzas, and I'm like, oh my, you're killing all the kids with all the sugar. But you don't know it's sugar because it's bread. And it's the same thing. You don't know this is worthless because it has a 1 on it or a 10. That's how people are. They're too stupid to look at what's going on. With that, it's time for dinner, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I think I had one pick, the Yankees. Everything else is like they're, I don't get these 1:00 games on Thursday. Who the hell is going to them? I mean, most people are working or in school, so I don't really get. Let's go to the game at 1:00. But anyway, all right, everybody, buy your gold, buy your silver, and watch your sugars. All right, take care. www.teaserking.com is the site. And soon, if you want to join the class, it'll probably be $25. And you'll go on Teaser King to pay for it. I get your email, and then you'll join the class. So we will see that. That's going to be on economics. All right. Have a good day, everybody. Take care.